My freshman year, I was roommates with a guy who had fairly well-off parents. Let's call him John. John was a child actor, and although he isn't one you'd recognize immediately, he's played side characters on big sitcoms and did some voice acting on some pretty popular kids' shows. His parents hold him to very high expectations and were very strict with him and his acting, so when he got into our university, which is considered a top 10 university globally, his parents held him to that same standard, which for a now liberated young adult with almost no maturity, he did the exact opposite of everything he should have done. He slept all day, partied all night, never studied, didn't go to class, etc. Yet when his parents would call him to check up on him, I would always be mentioned in the conversations. They needed to make sure that I was a good influence on their son. They would tell him. They would consistently ask if I was partying often, doing drugs, bringing girls over late into the night, pretty much everything he was doing. They wanted to ensure that I wasn't doing it to keep their son safe. This goes on for months. Whenever his parents would call him during his midday nap and I'd be in between classes, I'd always hear him defending me to his parents, and he'd go beet red whenever I'd walk in and hear what they were saying about me over the phone, so I'd leave and wait until his call ended since I knew he already felt embarrassed enough. I didn't really think of what they were saying either. I just thought it was ironic and told John afterwards that he didn't need to apologize, since they weren't his thoughts. Around the end of the semester, John is told by his major department that he would likely flunk out of college if he did not ace the final exams in at least 2 of 4 of his classes, and that he would have to retake the other 2 regardless of how he did. Moreover, that he would lose a scholarship that paid a substantial amount of his tuition. He had to call his dad to tell him the bad news while I was on the top bunk of the bed studying, and his father is shouting so loud that I can hear him through John's phone with my earbuds in. Eventually, the question is asked if I had anything to do with John's bad grades, and before John can say anything, his dad determines that John was covering for me because I was a bad influence, and that since I was around him all the time, I was the reason he failed. He demanded to speak to me and wanted me to tell him everything I did to his son and how I corrupted him, and when John said that I didn't do anything, it only made him angrier, and after telling me that I would pay, he hung up. He already knew my name, and of course where I lived, but I didn't think he would do anything with that information until I got a call from the university's Student Affairs Center telling me that John's father had requested access to my personal information through the student portal, basically a website with financial aid and enrollment info, and to change my passwords in case I thought that my data was at risk. I tell John that his dad tried to access my info and, of course, he called his dad to ask him what he was doing.